Right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 6 of the Bodybuilding and Business podcast. I'm the host, JJ Richards, and I'm very excited to have today's guest on because he is a Mr. Universe winner. He's a PCA and NABET pro bodybuilder. He's also a judge, a show promoter, and just to top it off, he's also one of the UK's top female prep coaches because he has 18 British titles and 70 show wins, which is a hell of a record. So thanks for joining me today, Dan. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. That was quite a lengthy intro. I think I managed to get everything in.
Yeah, I need to do more stuff to make it longer, I think.
Just add a few more bits onto it.
Size 11 feet. Size 11 feet.
He enjoys long walks on the beach in his own time.
They used to be a 10, but then I took loads of growth hormone and now they're an 11.
Yeah. Perfect. So people might know this, but a little bit of background. So I've actually known Dan for, oh God, it makes me feel old saying it, but it must be almost 20 years. I was trying to think back because
More, has to be more.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, well, we was at school, weren't we? So
we were, yeah.
Yeah, maybe 20 then. I'm 35, so maybe 21, 22 years.
Yeah, because I'm 32. You were like a couple of years above me in school. So yeah, I think when I started Wolford and lower school, you moved to upper school. So yeah, we've known each other for a hell of a long time. So it's good for us both, 20 years later to be chatting shit.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, causing all kinds of chaos. Perfect, good. So before we kick off, I'm just interested to obviously get a little bit about your background and obviously for the viewers and listeners too as well. So how did you actually get into weight training? How did you start off lifting weights?
I always liked big blokes. It's the same old story in it for every bodybuilder. I think they watched Arnie films and they like that. And
yeah,
used to watch World's Strongest Man at Christmas, and I was impressed by that. I liked the wrestling, the WWF wrestling, Hulk Hogan, and all that. So I just always loved that stuff. And then as soon as I was 18, I was like pretty skinny, like arms and things like that. And everyone started going around town. A couple of my mates started training and looking better when they were out.
Yeah,
women and that. So I started as well and just responded fast.
So I think it's very different these days because when we were growing up, like the alpha male when we were younger was the one that could drink the most white lightning on a field, and whoever was the most daringest and bravest and do the craziest stuff. Whereas now it's changed completely, and you see youngsters now, groups of them in the gym, and it's whoever's got the biggest bench press, and whoever's got the best six pack, they're now like the alpha male. So it's changed quite a lot. So like fitness and weightlifting wasn't quite as popular with us when we were younger versus how it is now. So it's completely different.
Yeah, nobody did that when we was young. And then even like bodybuilders, I mean, I think you were still around here about that time. I don't know when you moved away, you were the army or whatever, but
yeah, 2009 I moved away.
Yeah, so before that, so when I started 2004, 2005, there was only a handful of big guys about. A couple of people maybe competing in the whole city. Like I think there was one person competing in the city at that point, and it's a big city.
Yeah.
Whereas now there's dozens and dozens and dozens.
Absolutely. So what was the first gym that you actually started using?
So I started at Total Fitness, which is like as you know, like a fitness facility as opposed to a gym, just because it was near where my mum lived. My mum lived up that. So I just went up there with some of my pals, and I actually trained there for about 6 years until. So I worked on building site, and then I decided I wanted to be a personal trainer, as every bodybuilder does, because it's easier. And then I come off the building site and started personal training in there, and that's when I left there and went to an actual bodybuilding gym from that point. But up until then, I was in there, which there was one local bodybuilder or ex-bodybuilder who was just retiring at the time. He was the one that was still competing.
Okay.
He was fucking enormous, a big class 1 guy.
What was his name?
Danny Gladstone.
Okay. Yeah, the name rings a bell. I don't know him personally.
Massive guy. Well, probably the same size as kind of I am now, I suppose, but at the time.
Absolutely. He was absolutely massive, like my size.
I was a young kid, and he was walking around 20 odd stone.
Yeah.
Which was just ridiculous to look in my eyes as a youngster. So,
absolutely.
That's what got me for bodybuilding him.
Okay.
and then it's kind of escalated from that point. If I'd have never seen him in there, I'd have maybe never got into it.
Okay. And how long from that kind of process of starting lifting weights to actually stepping on stage for the first time, how long was that process?
From starting lifting weights to getting on stage for the first time was 4 years, 4.5 years. Looking back, as we all do, I could have I didn't go to start bodybuilding. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
I didn't train legs for the first year.
Okay.
I probably didn't even train my back for the first few months.
Yeah.
Arms, shoulders, chest. That's what everyone did. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then as I started realizing, I started training my back and then my legs, and I was still out around town at that point every weekend on the piss and things what young people do, and we won't go into that. But I wasn't taking bodybuilding seriously. I didn't actually decide to compete and take it seriously until 2007 when I was 21.
Okay.
So that's 3 years after. And then the following year I did a show. As soon as I knuckled down, stopped going out on a weekend and drinking and started eating bodybuilding food.
Yeah.
So I can't say I was bodybuilding for 4 years before I competed. I was probably bodybuilding for 1.
Okay.
I was training hard for 3 years, and as soon as I put the rest of the jigsaw pieces together, it really came on.
So what was the process then for getting yourself into shape for the first time, for the first competition that you ever did? Because what year was it? 2008 you did your first show?
Yeah, 2008 was my first one. It was actually UK one when they was still strong, just because I'd seen it in the Flex magazine, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what an ABBA was or anything like that, or all this and that. So the same guy, Danny, he introduced me to a bloke who helped him get ready for his shows called Ken Roscoe.
Okay.
Who had food tech at the time, and he had a bunch of athletes with him. So I fell right on my feet from the off with that.
Okay.
And he took me on, prepped me for my first show.
Yeah.
Showed me the ropes, and I stayed with him for quite a few years after that. And he took me kind of through most of it, to be honest.
Okay. And was it kind of the thing where you did your first show and you was hooked, and then you kind of continued afterwards?
Yeah, there was no question I was getting out of that. It wasn't even. I wasn't even a thought. I was just bodybuilding forever. That was me. I was 22, 23, and then the following year I did the novices. I moved over to NABA.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the UK BFF setup.
Okay.
I came third or fourth at that show. I mean, it was a good show. There was people like Max O'Connor was in my class, actually.
Yeah, I remember, because it was the lead show, wasn't it, that you did? I remember, Max did it,
Good memory, yeah. Max O'Connor was in it. And then the following year I moved over to NABA.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really belong on stage that first year. I wasn't big enough, but you got to learn somehow.
Yeah.
And then the following year I won the novices and stuff at the NABA, and then moved on to the misters and started winning them. Yeah,
absolutely. So I actually think you were probably my inspiration to actually competing for the first time, because, you know, I started lifting weights, you know, when I was, you know, I was a bit of a shit when I was younger at school, and then I decided I need to sort this out a little bit. So I started training when I was 15. My mum bought me a gym at that Costello gym.
Oh yeah,
So I started training there, but it was more okay. I wanted to join the army because I needed to remove myself from the, you know, the social situation that I was in. So, like, I joined the army, and I remember, you know, I bought like my first tub of protein when I was in basic training, and I'd read all the Flex. I remember I used to just use all the Flex magazines, and, you know, I'd feel a bit weird going into the shop buying a magazine with, you know, a muscle guy on the front.
I used to get embarrassed.
It felt unnatural at that time, like going in and buying this magazine of an oiled up muscular guy in the front. It wasn't the norm back then. It was very strange to do. And like in my social circle at the time, nobody knew anything about bodybuilding. Obviously, training's popular in the army, but it's a different style of training. And I remember I'd read the magazines, and I used to look on bodybuilding.com, and you were the only person that I actually knew personally that ever did a bodybuilding competition. And I remember I did my first ever show in 2009, and I used to come over and see you because you used to be able to get that the butterfly chicken that was like pre-cooked and frozen, and
was all right.
Yeah, you used to sort me out with that. So I used to go around and go, "This is amazing. I'm not going to cook my chicken." So I remember I just took 4 weeks like holiday from the army just so I could do like a 4-week prep for my first show.
I forgot about all that.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's weird. I've got a good memory for like things like that. And yeah, I remember then I did that, and like you were the only person that I really interacted with. So I remember I'd read all these forums and everything was like so conflicting. I'm like, oh my God, what do I actually do? And then yeah, I remember I would speak to yourself, and then yeah, I remember I think you were like the first person, you text me as soon as I did it, and you're like, how did you get on? And I was like, I won. And you're like, well done. So yeah, I think if it wasn't for you competing and me knowing someone and having someone to talk to about the process, you know, whether or not, you know, how long it would have been until I got on stage. So yeah, I definitely think you were my motivation at the time to compete.
You've got a better memory than me, mate. That's a long time ago. That
yeah, it is. I've a like short-term memory for like numbers and stuff isn't great, but like memories like that, like I'm very good at, you know, like when I see people, I can, you know, regurgitate the conversations of things that we had. So yeah, it's worrying sometimes. Perfect. So obviously you got into bodybuilding. So when you started bodybuilding, you did the first show and you was quite hooked. Like, what were your goals and aspirations at that time? Was it, because I know you were a big fan of like Ronnie Coleman back in the day. Was it like, right, I want to be an IFBB pro? Was that your goal from the off?
it was just to get better. I never really had aspirations to anything. You don't think like, I never really thought, I knew looking at my body, or I thought looking at my body that I didn't quite have what them people had, but I couldn't work out why. Do you know?
Okay.
Genetics weren't really a conversation much that anybody was having near me. I think, well, why do I wear this similar as them, but I don't look like them? I don't get it, you know?
Yeah.
So I never really thought about it. And I was somebody who had to put on a fucking lot of size to actually start looking like a bodybuilder.
Because how tall are you? Because you're quite
I'm
tall.
6 foot.
Yeah.
But not even that, just the way I'm put together. I've not got massive sweeping this and sweeping that. So I had to pack on quite a lot of muscle before I even started looking any good.
Okay.
So it wasn't until a few years in that I started to look all right, to be fair.
And do you still feel it, because obviously you're still fairly active on the competing stage yourself now. Are you still kind of motivated and driven now to want to better yourself, or do you think it's kind of tailored off as you progress through your career?
Yeah, it's just never ends, does it? It's just, apart from now, I used to be like walking around like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking do this, I'm gonna do that constantly every day. That passes after, as you'll probably know, after so many years, and then it just becomes habit. So I'll never go in and have a bad session or a shit session. I always hit my sessions. I never miss anything through the week. I'm never off my diet really. Apart from this week, so I've had kidney stones. I'm not eating much this week.
Jeez.
Yeah, that hurts. But yeah, I'm just I mean, it's getting to the point now where my body weight's just having to go to kind of stupid places. I've ended up on one of them CPAP machines so I can sleep.
Oh, okay.
Able to sleep without one, and I was choking in my sleep and all this.
Yeah.
So the bigger and bigger I've got, it's just got kind of ridiculous to the things that I'm having to do. So I'm at the point now, just of this last couple of weeks, where I've kind of said to my missus, I don't know how much further I want to go.
Okay.
Because I was kind of hitting like, what did I, on this was last push now, nearly 320 pounds.
Jesus Christ.
I know, and I could still see my abs. I mean, I'm not saying I was lean, but I wasn't in a real bad spot. And it's just, I've got a kid, do you know what I mean? And I want to have another kid soon. And I'm kind of thinking like, it might be time to start pulling away soon.
Because because that was one of the questions I was going to ask, because obviously, you know, we have to push certain things to you know, get to a certain size in bodybuilding. And when you're young, you know, that stuff and health, it's not really a priority. But then when you start having a family and you've got kids, your priorities change. Did you find that with yourself a little bit, that you didn't want to push stuff so much?
The drug thing that we're obviously talking about, I'm quite lucky because I respond to not a lot. So I have tried and I have pushed up onto bigger dosages and stuff, which some people would still laugh at and say is not that much. Yeah. And I thought that's what I had to do. So for a couple of years, I was trying to do that. I was up in the kind of like 2,000 milligram range total.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'll be open about it. I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
And that was just fucking awful. Felt terrible. Couldn't train properly. Appetite dead. So I kind of respond the best around about 1,300, maybe 1,400. So that's total steroid. So I mean, that's still where I'm at now. I'm pushing up to, I've just come off everything, but pushing up to around about the 23 stone mark on just that, really.
Yeah, fair. Because these a point I found with using steroids. like more isn't always best. It gets to a point where, okay, this is a nice level, but then people always want to push it, because I used more 5 years ago than I'm using now. Like, you know, the amount that I'm actually using, like, you know, if I tell people it is, you know, I guarantee Joe Blogs that does it to go out and look good in the piss on Friday probably uses more than me. And, you know, I've been competing for 12 years. So yeah, you kind of get to know, okay, this is like my threshold. This is where I'm good. This is where training's good, appetite's good. I don't feel like, you know, it's not kicking my health too much, but then going any further over that, then it does, you know, it's like the point of no return, really. And it's that risk versus reward, that the higher you go with the risk, the less reward I find once you get past that kind of threshold mark.
Yeah, my more concerns are coming from my actual body weight than to the stuff that I'm putting in it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Blood pressure started getting a bit wacky for a couple of days, then I had to sort that out, and what have you. And it plays on your mind, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one thing that stands out with yourself and your career the most is your body transformation that happened. So what I'm referring to, if people don't know, and I'll try and tag a picture up on the screen now as I'm talking when I'm editing it, so people can actually see. So obviously, if you want to talk a little bit about that and what happened, so you had to have like shoulder surgery, didn't you? And then talk us through that process of what happened.
So from the beginning, so 2012, Christmas Eve, I was training by myself in a gym. Felt doing shoulder press on a Smith machine, pretty heavy. Felt a couple of very hot burns in my shoulders, both of them.
Okay.
Which turned out to be my tendons at the top, so my bicep tendons tearing.
Okay.
So I was kind of like this for a week or two after that, and then everything kind of cleared, and they just never felt quite right, and I was getting loads of pains, and I ended up with like a bit of a frozen shoulder and this and that, blah blah blah. So I've gone to get scanned. I tried to put it off through 2013, and I kept ending up in pain. And then I couldn't do any shoulder work, nothing, zero shoulder work since that day, actually, until maybe a couple of years ago. And so tried to put it off. Competed 2014 with very, very restricted training, as in using basically warm-up weights for everything. Got scanned that year, and they showed me the tears, and they said that they want to reattach them. So I competed that year. Thought I'll give it one last kind of go, because if they deform my biceps or anything like that, and things don't come back right, then at least I've had a crack. So I did the British, and I come in very small for that. Come in third though, and then I thought, well, on that prep actually, I missed 6 weeks of weight training because I was traveling up and down with the doctors, getting these fucking injections and this and that, and cortisones. I had loads of different cortisones, so you're not allowed to train for a certain amount of time. So I was 14 weeks prep. I only trained 8 weeks weight training. Come in small, but won the qualifier, won the overall, and then went to the British and come third. And then from there, that's when I had my scans after that, I believe. And they said, we need to operate. So I thought, fuck it. They booked me in for something like the September. I pushed them back to the December. And I competed at the Mr. Universe in November. Coming a lot better. I got my SARS back, and coming better and won. So after that, 3 weeks after, I think, I got my left bicep reattached. In surgery. But the thing is, so normally if I'd have had something like that done and I've had my left bicep reattached, I would have continued training my right arm, obviously. I want to train. But besides it being in a lot of pain, I didn't want to snap that one off whilst that one was in a cast and I was doing the rehab, because they won't operate on it. So it had just been sprung down and fucked. So I thought, right, I'll just take all the time off. I'll get off all the gear, everything, teetotal, see if anything come back. That was a mistake. I'd never do that again. And then 3.5 months later, I got my right one operated on. And then that was another 3.5 months until I could go back to gym again and start doing some bits and pieces. So I think I had like 7 months off weight training, I think it was. And like 8 months total off, or 9 months, no, 9 months to come off after the show. 8 or 9 months anyway, whatever it was, off the steroids teetotal, of which no testosterone came back in that time. So yeah, I just shriveled away to nothing. I was the same with my legs. I didn't dare go in and do much, maybe some extensions or something, but I just kind of left it as a rest. So then when I turned up at the shows in the April to go with some of my athletes and stuff, I think everyone thought I had AIDS, because obviously the last time they'd seen me, I'd won the universe in November, 18 stone, shredded. And then I turned up at about 15 stone, skinny and fat for the for a few months later.
Because that's the part I'm interested in. I know a lot of people are more interested in like the rebound of you obviously putting the muscle on, but I'm more interested in that phase of obviously digression. So how did that mentally affect you? Because obviously you've got a reputation of, Mr. Universe, you've got a very big name around Hull and everyone knows you as Dan the Bodybuilder. Like, how did that mentally affect you when you can see your size dwindling? Like how did you feel? And obviously, how did you overcompensate those feelings?
I didn't really care that much.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I missed the training and I missed the pump and I missed all the stuff like that. But yeah, it was just something that I had to go through to get back to where I needed to be. So I never really viewed it as much more.
Okay.
A few people had said things and this and that, but kind of like what's cool is in the back of my head, you kind of know, like, I can just come back at any time and you're not going to.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't know what I'm kind of carrying underneath this. Do you know what I mean?
And did you know that, or was there any ever doubts in your head thinking, can I come back and do I want to come back?
I'm a bit stupid like that, so I just never really. My missus always kind of not as a go at me, but was like, fuck's sake, because I just never think anything bad's going to happen.
Okay, yeah.
Like it's like a blind faith in goodness. Yeah. I don't know, so I just never think. So I just figured, well, I'll just go back training and it'll be fucking sound.
Yeah.
So
okay.
My left shoulder had become a little bit frozen as well.
Yeah.
That time, so that's a problem I still actually battle to this day with that frozen shoulder. But I just went back training. Obviously after a few weeks of going steady, because things had just like reattached and it's a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
I think I put on a pound a day for like 60 days and it all
I
just
saw
came
that.
back. Yeah, and the
crazy.
funny thing was I started working in a gym at the time, just after I'd won the universe, so I shrunk straight after it. So all the members, especially the Polish ones, I still remember them, they didn't even look at me or pay attention to me or say hi or nothing.
Yeah.
And then 6 months later, they were all, Dan, what do you think I should take this protein? You think I should take that? Yeah, now you want to talk to me, you fuckers. It just shows how funny everybody is, doesn't it?
Very image conscious. So there's because I know a lot of people, do suffer with body dysmorphia, especially bodybuilders. We always want to be bigger, we always want to be leaner. Was there any ever of that when you was going through that that kind of digression? Do you ever look in the mirror and you kind of felt a little bit bad or disheartened?
It was more interesting, JJ. It was more like, because I'd been like big for so long and like looked a certain way. Yeah. I was like watching and it was just like, I don't know, I kind of found it interesting, and I don't know, I was more fascinated by it than anything else.
Yeah.
I was just focused on my rehab and everything that I was meant to be doing. I got a bit down from having zero testosterone though.
Yeah.
And that's why I would never do it that way again.
Yeah.
And I think I got tested and I was like 1.1 or something like that.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah.
That was after the 9 months, so you can imagine what I was going through in the middle of it.
Did you do any PCT or anything, or just come off and then stop?
Tried a couple of goes at it, mate, and it didn't do
okay.
So I think you've got to be off about 2 years when you've done things as long as I have to try and give it a go. But, so I felt a bit like poor mood from that, and a little bit of anxiety from that. That's natural, anyways. And I missed the training, but the actual physically shrinking, it didn't really. It's not. I won't have a problem with that, I don't think, because obviously I've got to do that at some point again soon when I pack in.
Yeah.
I'm not really worried about that.
So I know a lot of bodybuilders, and I know a few that just really struggle with retirement and stopping bodybuilding, because it's very difficult, because you've kind of always carried this frame. Everyone kind of knows you, and you're Dan the bodybuilder, Mr. Universe. That is a big part of your personality, and it is with a lot of people. So when you kind of remove that, people are kind of like, well, they have to really evaluate their lives and be like, well, what am I now? Because I'm not, JJ Dan, whoever the bodybuilder. I am now this person. A lot of people kind of struggle to refine themselves. Dorian's obviously a big extreme of that, but obviously from what he went to the person he is now, but it took him a while to figure that out, and he went through the partying stages, because I know a lot of bodybuilders just literally they go from one extreme to the next of just party, and it's just it's sad to see with a lot of people, to be honest.
That might happen to me, mate. It might happen, but I think because I knew it was coming back,
Yeah.
I didn't really bother me because I knew I was just coming back. If I know it's gone forever,
Yeah.
it's not the what people are thinking that is bother me. I think I'll just miss some days just being able to go in and kick and push big fucking things around in the gym because that's what I
Yeah.
really enjoy.
Yeah.
And get a massive pump and feel good about getting that. I don't think. Ask me in a few years, mate.
Yeah.
I
Fine.
take more out of my identity, I think, now from being a coach.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think that I tie my identity more to that actually than
Yeah.
being a bodybuilder. A lot of these young kids don't even know the fuck I am. They don't care. Do you know what I mean? I'm not an IFBB pro or anything like that, or I'm not like top level
Yeah.
bodybuilder. So I think my identity is probably a little bit more tied to coaching. So I think if I
Okay.
had to stop doing that forever, I'd probably struggle more than I would the bodybuilding because I
Okay.
really enjoy that, you know.
Yeah. And that's a perfect segue on to now talking about how did you actually, obviously, because I remember you, when you was a personal trainer, working on the floor, total fitness, because I remember when I used to come on leave after the army, I would use day passes and come and train in
Yeah,
there.
I remember,
Yeah, because although it was like a health club style gym, they still had like some decent plate loaded leg presses and some hammer strength kit and quite a decent
That was cool.
section
Hammer
of.
strength
So
section, yeah.
yeah. So they did have quite a good balance, which I quite liked about that club. So I used to go in there and guest passes. So I remember when you used to, be a PT on the floor back then. So what was that kind of progression from there now leading into obviously being one of the top female coaches?
It was an accident, mate. I didn't mean to.
I didn't mean to do it, I promise.
No, oh yeah, it really was. So a kid in there called Mark, you'll remember Mark Harmon, maybe, I'm not sure from being in there. His missus, I think she'd done a show or something like that and weren't very happy or something, I can't remember, but he asked me to help her anyway for the
Yeah.
show. So, I mean, nobody was doing things like that. She was the first girl I've ever heard of that competed. I had
Yeah.
to look up the pictures of the category and that to see what they were meant to look like
Yeah.
on the NABA website. And so I prepped her for that, and she wasn't particularly gifted or anything. And then she come like third or something like that. And
Okay.
them's the days when the shows were all stacked, so there was 20 to 25
Yeah.
women in them categories because there weren't as many shows. And
Yeah.
she come like third or something, and she was only like 19, I think, 18,
Okay.
19. So that was all right. Didn't think that of it. I just prepped her the same way I would a guy because I was doing a few guys at the time.
Yeah.
And then another girl came along called Rebecca the next year.
Yeah.
And she asked me to prep her for a bodybuilding show. So I said, sound. So we did the NABA. And on her very first prep, she won the British.
Yeah.
And like I say, then was the days when I think there was 33 on stage that day, something like that.
Wow.
And it was all a very facey face, namey name kind of thing. So you'd expect certain people to play certain, not because they were favoritised, but just because they were fucking good, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you could probably count out your top six usually and know there was going to be. Anyway, she come in and whooped them really clearly as well with straight first, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just led from there. So, but from that off, I knew what she needed to look like, and I was kind of working on that, not just getting her shredded and all the rest of it. I was trying to working from that even then. So, then another girl come along, which is actually now my missus and the mother of my child.
Yeah.
She come along, we done a prep, she won her show. Two more girls come off the back of that. They won their shows.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of led into that. So I was just running it from a personal training. At that time, I'd moved from that gym that you're talking about to a smaller gym, which is the gym where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Because they stopped girls coming in that weren't members to see me. So I just
Okay.
moved. So I moved. That was the same week that I won the Mr. Universe. I moved from there. So back in 2014 again now. And then I got like 4 or 5 of them. Some of them was winning seconds, thirds.
Yeah.
A few more come along from a little bit further adrift. And then some come from over the bridge, and then some come from a bit further. So I end up with like a team of like 10 of them or whatever.
Yeah.
And we were winning the local NABA regionals and shows like that. And then some more came, and then we won more NABA British finals and won the NABA Universe. And it just kind of escalated from that. And I never wanted to come out of working in the gym. So at one point, I had 30 PT clients in a week.
Wow.
23 of them or whatever will have been competitors traveling to see me. They were traveling from 1 to 2 hours away just for a 1 hour PT session and a check-in and a prep.
Yeah.
And I was blocked out like that. And then Michaela McDonald, who you probably know who that is, she's one of my close friends. She's a posing coach. And she convinced me to take this girl online because I didn't want to take any girls online at that time because I didn't think I'd get a good result, you see.
Yeah.
For the videos and the not being able to speak to them in person. Yeah, and she won a show and then she won the overall.
Okay.
So I thought, all right, fair enough. So I took 10 on, I limited it to 10.
Yeah.
Then that crew went and bloody did real well and they won all shows and one of them won the pro card and a couple of them won overalls and this and that. Within the back end of the 19 season. And then, yeah, it moved into 2020. Obviously, we got smashed up with lockdown. That fell to shit. I had some clients come on with me for that time, and they won IFBB shows and stuff at the end of the year in wellness. And the other girl won the overall PCA show. There was only one. She won the overall there. And some of the other girls won other categories. And then now we're in 2021. We're at the beginning of 21. I've got a nice crew of ladies now, and we're heading into the season ready to go do some damage.
So I think people that are listening need to really digest and rewind and listen to that story again, because what you've done is it's called natural progression, where you've started, you've admitted, and shown vulnerability that, I don't know how to prep females, but I'll try, I'll do it. Okay. It was very successful. And then you've grown and grown and grown. Whereas everybody now wants to be a top prep coach, prepping the best in the world, when they've stepped on stage once in their whole entire life and that's all they know. So the fact you've done the journey yourself, you've experienced it, you've learned a lot from all the information that you've got from coaches and putting it into practice. And then obviously over time, you've been putting it in practice with, like you said, you started off just prepping mates and things like that, and then learning from that and then progressing. Like
everybody that you put up on stage, you've took a lesson from it.
Absolutely.
So when people ask and I say it was an accident, I'm not joking, because if I'd have put that girl up and she'd have done a load of shit, I'd have probably never done it again.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was very lucky. So you were quite a lot then, yeah. So do you mind me asking, how many clients have you got now online then that you work with? Obviously, I know that lockdown may have impacted that.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I've picked up, I won't put a specific number on it, but it's not. I probably should, to be honest, because it's not a lot. I know some people have like 100 odd clients and all this, but I'm capping my numbers really soon. I'm not far from it, because somebody messaged me the other day actually and said that, asked how many clients I've got, because the last coach didn't seem to know what they were doing with them because they couldn't remember and this and that. And that's literally my worst nightmare. So I would like to think you can speak to any single one of my clients across my roster and they'll all should tell you the same thing, that they get enough attention. I reply to them really quickly, and I know exactly what's going on with every one of them. I'm not having to think, like, what goes this, what we're doing, and things like this that I hear about things. That's my worst nightmare. So I want to keep my reputation in good stead with that.
Absolutely.
And if that starts to slip, I'll just reduce my numbers.
And I think that's really important, because I think too many people these days are chasing the pound rather than the results.
The results, mate.
Absolutely. And that's what I mean. I always say, like, because what winds me up at the moment is I see it all the time now. And I think you actually mentioned it briefly the other day, is that everybody now is a prep coach. So everyone's like, do you want to be a great prep coach? Do you want to make £10,000 a month? Then come and sign up to this. And it grinds me. And I'm like, well, if you're setting your mindset that, you know what, this is my goal of, I want to earn 10 grand a month, which is insane. Or actually, I want to get these results, because if you're more focused on the individuals and your reputation, exactly, but that is gonna speak wonders for itself, rather than having to put all these sponsored ads out and things like that to try and get new clients in, because results speak for themselves. You can't argue with 70 show wins and 18 British titles. Like that's your marketing.
That's with not many clients as well, to be fair. I just told you how I was kind of skimping that in with the 100 clients every year. That was a handful year after year. Exactly.
And I think that's quite important, because I've heard people before saying they've got 85, 90 online clients. I'm like, geez, I think I've got a pretty good memory. And at the moment, obviously, I've just kind of started full-time coaching now and left my career behind. So I'm doing coaching and personal training now. And I've got around 25 clients at the moment, but a lot of those are lifestyle clients. And I like to be personal with them. I like to respond back straight away. And that's the kind of feedback you get. But I'm like, geez, if I had like double this amount, I would really struggle to respond to them straight away, like to remember all of the details of what's happened in their life. Because what's your kind of split? Are all of your clients like competitors, or do you have any kind of like lifestyle clients? And in fact, it's your dad that wants to put on a little bit of muscle and lose a bit of body fat, or is it just the competitors now?
Yeah, just competitors, or a few maybe that just want to train, eat, and look like competitors. They don't necessarily have to be on stage.
Yeah.
I don't have any lifestyle clients, not even one.
Yeah. Okay. It is a completely different skill set, I find.
Yeah, I don't have that skill set, mate. I don't have it. I don't understand.
Yeah.
I just think, Tim, if you want to lose some fucking weight, mate,
yeah,
just stick to your plan, what you're meant to eat. That's too straightforward for me, and I can't understand why they need to be doing this and that. Maybe when I'm retired from bodybuilding and I've moved myself in that direction, because I've done this since I was 18.
Yeah.
I don't know anything else. If you want to lose weight, you do that. If you want to gain weight, you do that.
Yeah,
If you want to build
exactly.
muscle, you do that. If you
Yeah.
want to have less muscle, you do that. So it's pretty easy. But it's understanding people's brains. So I think maybe when I've retired from all this,
Yeah.
me competing, and moved into a more of a balanced lifestyle, then I'll be able to I reckon I'll get my head around it pretty fast.
Yeah.
And maybe be able to take on lifestyle clients as I get a little bit older. But for now, I just stay with my own.
Absolutely. Because there's quite a few like, former good bodybuilders that, do you know Tom Blackman? He does a lot of lifestyle clients. I follow him and see the stuff he does. And I think you're right. It's when you've kind of got that bodybuilding mentality, and it's like people are saying, oh, I've not lost weight, but I had weekend, I had my mate's birthday, and you're thinking, so like, why does that make a difference? But it is a completely different skill set, which I'm learning now, because a lot of my clients are lifestyle. Obviously, I've got a few competitors, and I would like to get more, because that's the kind of market that I want to attract. But it is completely different, because say for example, you are my coach, you give me a set diet, I'm going to stick to it to the T. Like, I'm not going to go a gram over on my oats, I'm not going to go a minute less on my cardio. So it's very robotic. So this is a plan, I'm adhering to it 100%. Okay, these are the results. Okay, here are the tweaks you need to make. But when it's a lifestyle client and you're giving them the plan, but they haven't done this, they haven't done that, like, how can you change anything when you don't know the adherence is 100%? So you don't know the outcome of the plan. So it is a lot of patience, which is quite difficult when you don't have any.
Yeah, my mate does it. My mate's a lifestyle coach, and he's fucking amazing. My training partner, he's fucking amazing at it. I don't know.
Is that Chris Hutty?
Yeah.
I see his results. Yeah, very good.
Really good at it.
Yeah.
But he's got a different mindset to me, because he's lived both. He's lived the bodybuilding life for a brief amount of time.
Yeah.
But he's mainly lived like a balanced way of looking good and still managing to socialize and all the rest of it. So
yeah,
I would think if I move into that kind of lifestyle, I'll probably be all right at it as well. But at the minute, not for me.
That's fine. So what are the biggest challenges you found with prepping females?
Well, they're harder to prep than men, from the fact that the bodies are a lot more stubborn.
Yeah.
But that's just normal to me now. I think if I was prepping a fella, it'd seem probably too easy to get him in shape.
Okay.
It just falls off every week.
Yeah.
You don't have to be particularly strategic. You just pull things down and they fall off. But women are all right, man. They get a bad rap for being moaning and this and that. And I don't know if it's a case of, somebody told me that, I think, with my clients, it's more maybe like my vibe attracts my tribe, or whatever the saying is.
Okay.
So, because I'm not much for bullshit. I get them type of clients. I don't really have any moan bags or out like that. And if they do start moaning, I usually tell them, shut up.
Yeah. The best way to be.
Yeah.
And do you find that the strategy sometimes has to change with females? Because obviously menstrual cycle, things like that, does that factor in quite a lot when you're prepping clients for shows?
Yeah, you just factor it into what's going on, basically.
Yeah.
You just, obviously, at certain times of the month, they're going to start wanting certain things and holding certain things, watering places and this and that. But
yeah,
they've just got to go through it, man. And you just got to be aware that the progress ain't going to be as linear with a woman. Man, you just got to bear that in mind. But I'm used to that. It's literally, I can look at my check-in form, and if something looks off or the scale's off, I can go to 3 places on my check-in form and I'll find out what's wrong.
Yeah.
I've never, with people that are truthful, I've never gone to a check-in form and something's looked off and it's not told me within the check-in form. I know what to ask as well, I think.
Okay. So what are those 3 things on the checking form that you go to, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, adherence.
Yeah.
Would be one. Time of the month.
Yeah.
Would be another. And there's like one for stress and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So in regards to your kind of training philosophy, because do you do nutrition or do you also do their weight training schedules as well for your clients?
Both.
Do you do both?
Yeah.
Perfect. So in regards to, if we look at bikini versus figure, is the training principles and programming quite the same, or does it differ a little bit depending on what class they're looking to do?
Well, it depends what the bodies look like and what you're trying to do with them. Obviously, it's got to work around if they need a bit more here or a bit more there or what have you. But they're more similar than I think people realise. I think the days where bikini girls train doing fucking kickbacks and hula hoops and whatever they used to do when they first started, and they just look like a beach body, to where they're at now, where the girls are muscular, man. Don't get me wrong.
It's changed a lot.
Yeah. But I think the main difference is the genetic response to the weight training. So some girls will train like fuck and they'll still have quite thin legs and thin arms and be a bit more wispy, and that's going to be a bikini category. Some girls train like fuck, the legs get big and round and the shoulders get big and round and the back tapers up and gets thick. They're going to be a girl's figure. So more often than not, it's actually a genetic response to the in my opinion anyway, it's a genetic response to the training as opposed to trying to dictate where you put the body. Don't get me wrong, when they start coming to the cap end of the category, you maybe need to be careful and pull back on a few areas if they're getting a bit thick. You don't want to be doing big pulls and that if you're already too thick. But generally, it's just what response comes from the training, I think.
Absolutely. So with your kind of training principles, because I know that, at the moment, everyone loves a progressive overload. There's been FST7, there's been, YT, there's been hundreds of different popular training programs throughout the period of time we've been bodybuilding. So when you've got a client that comes to you straight away, obviously you don't necessarily know how they're going to respond. What does that initial kind of weight training program look like? Do you kind of follow any principles, or is it the usual, 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps and a set split?
So I'll usually program just fill your sets. So I won't program in the warm-up sets. I'll just put in usually 2 working sets, sometimes 1. In different rep ranges because you need them. And it depends where the physique's at and how new they are to train. If they're really new to training, I mean, I don't ever get anybody that's brand new because they'll need a full body workout, and I've never had to program one of them yet. So generally, if they're a couple of years in or what have you, it'll be upper lower split, and then obviously as they get more developed, it'll be upper lower. Push pull legs upper lower across the week, and then as they get even bigger, maybe just push pull legs. And if they're massive, which I ain't got anybody doing this, but it'd be more like a bro split. But I've not really got that going on. Girls recover a lot faster than guys do as well. So I'd say more often than not, for someone who's quite developed, to push pull legs upper lower would be the way we're running. Then obviously just the volume in areas dictates what body parts need to come up and stay the same and what have you.
Absolutely. So if somebody's got a weak and lagging muscle group, a lot of people say, the big question is I've got a weak muscle group, what tips do you give to improve that? And what kind of philosophies and strategy do you have to improve a weak muscle group?
So what people would usually do, I think, is just throw more volume at it. But I'd be more questioning why you're doing the same volume on that muscle as another muscle and that's not responding, but that one is. So generally that would be put down to genetics, but I don't agree with that. What I'll usually find is there's a reason why it's not firing up as much as it should be. So whether something's tight and something's overcompensating, or your body's moving in a certain way and this is growing over that growing and blah, blah, blah. So what you'll find is I had a client up to see me from down south the other day, and we was talking about this because she's very, as an example, very, very quad dominant in the way she is. And she squats and she leg presses, she does all the things that everybody do. But for the way genetic is of mechanics, she stands with a less favourable position to her glutes and a more favourable position to use more quads.
Yeah.
So when she started with me last year, instead of thinking, well, let's just do more glutes, I changed all the feet stances, added some like them hip band things in, which people laugh at, but
Yeah.
for more glute activation to be fired up the work. Changed the stances so that quads were less favourable and the glutes were more favourable.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, within 4 months, doing exactly the same exercises, but doing them differently, a glutes started growing and a quads kind of stayed.
Yeah.
Well, a quads improved as well because they were working, but a glute started to catch up. Do you know? And then we'll come into a prep.
And that's a great answer, because I think you're right in what you said. Because I think it goes back from Arnold Schwarzenegger. You say he never had good calves, so he used to train him every single day and cut off the bottoms to all his trousers so you could see them. And I don't always think that adding a lot of volume, because if something isn't working, just doing loads more shit isn't going to benefit it. So I think you're right in regards to execution. Like biomechanics are really important. Then sometimes it's doing the opposite of what you're doing. So sometimes you might be doing too much. So if you're training a muscle 3-4 times a week, the chances are that muscle maybe just not be recovering, because every time you're smashing it in the gym, you're breaking down the muscle fibers. It's not allowing it to rebuild and regrow stronger. So actually maybe pull back on volume, or like you say, if you're not doing too much, then increase it. So yeah, that was a really good answer for that, because I think you're right, where people do just tend to throw a load of shit at a wall and hope something sticks type. So obviously a big part of coaching females is knowing the class criteria, because especially for yourself, because you prep females across PCA, NABA, Two Bros, and there's quite a lot of different female classes per federation. So when you're prepping somebody for a class, do you always know straight away they're more toned or trained, or do you have to wait until they're dieted down then to know which way to take them?
A little bit of both. Obviously, we'll make a good guess, which is usually accurate.
Yeah.
From their off season and from their previous competing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But sometimes I've had new starters, well, not new starters, new people to me, and they'll start a prep thinking they're athletic, well, because the size of them. Then they come down like, fuck, no way, you're going in tone, man.
Yeah.
But I've had the opposite, where you get someone start getting ready for tone, and they come down, and all this shit comes popping out, and then they're doing athletics. So you never completely tell.
So what is the main difference between toned, athletic, and trained?
Size and condition.
Okay.
It just moves up on a sliding scale from toned, cut off point, size and condition more athletic, move along.
Yeah.
Point, moving to training athletic.
So does that cut off point is that dictated by who is on stage and who you're judging?
Yeah, it definitely can be, yeah.
Because that must be really hard to prep people for that, because, like you say, let's say you're toned, but you're on the upper part of that and you're closer to then that kind of athletic figure. Yeah. But then the rest of the people that you're competing with are very low end of that tone. You're going to stand out. So it's quite difficult, I imagine, to prep somebody because of what the lineup's going to be.
Yeah, kind of. I think that's where my skill comes in. I think that's why I do all right with it.
Yeah.
I've kind of got a real good gist on where they need to be.
Yeah.
So if they're a little bit of a bigger body, with a little bit more muscle, I'll hold back slightly on condition to make sure they're well within the category.
Yeah.
Or if they are a little bit smaller, I'll push the limits a little bit more.
Yeah.
And also taking into consideration with that, what suits their body the most.
Yeah.
So you've got to because some people look better a little bit softer and rounder. Some people look a little bit better, sharper, more jagged. Yeah. So you've got to find what suits them and then push the limit of that. That's how I kind of base things.
So you try and do you try and like keep them in the middle of that class, or do you try and push them to the top end of that class?
Limit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The limit wins usually.
Okay.
As long as the physique's there, you've got to have the shape of that. Some people are like, why didn't I win? Because I was miles more lean than she wasn't. Because the physique's shit. Like that's why he got fifth, even though he was the leanest, So as long as the physique's there, then we'll try and push the boundaries of where we're at.
And I've seen PCA shows before where they've actually taken males and females and said, actually, you need to do athletic, or you need to do trained, or so they do that really well, which is really good. So I guess if you're prepping yourself and you haven't got an expert like yourself in your corner, you may not know. So it's quite nice that they do that as well and give people an opportunity for a fair competition.
Yeah, it's a very good part of what the federation does, that, to be honest, really good.
It is, absolutely. So moving obviously into talking about federation. So you're obviously a judge as well. So you judge the bodybuilding for the PCA. So for anybody that doesn't know, how does judging a show work? So let's say, for example, you've got 10 people on stage, they go up into 2 groups of 5. Like, talk through that process of, what are you looking for? How does the scoring criteria work? How do the call outs work? For somebody that hasn't got a clue.
Way more simple than I think everybody thinks. And there's one comment that you hear a lot: marking people down. That's not a thing. That doesn't exist.
You don't get
I don't know where that's come from. Well, she didn't turn very well. -2, -2. Yeah, that's a load of nonsense. I think it's just an expression that people take seriously.
Yeah.
So what'll happen is, say you've got a class of 12 people come out, right?
Yeah.
12 athletes come out. Obviously, we all know what the criteria is. We all know what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So that's said and done. So what they'll do is the guy in the middle, the judge or female or whatever, they'll look up and down the line. They'll see how many we're going to place. So they'll probably say 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Wherever the quality is going to be. So they'll say how many numbers you want. They'll shout them down the line. 5, like that. So we've all got sheets, and so we're looking for the best 5 that we can see.
Okay.
So we'll go through the quarter times and the mandatories and what have you, and we're looking up. And right, we've got 5 numbers to pick. So you'll be like number 1, yeah, number 3, number 7, number 10, number 11. Boom. There's my 5, right?
Yeah.
Every judge is doing that.
Okay.
Right? So they all go to the middle. There's a tally, and they just put down number 1, number 3, number 5, number 10, number 11, whatever I just said. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the judges go in. So then the 5 numbers with the most ticks next to the name, there's your call out.
Okay.
Yeah. So it can't get any fairer than that, because you've got 7 judges that have put that in.
Yeah.
So say I miss somebody who's maybe better than the other one, and they're down the other end or whatever, you've got another 6 judges putting that in. So nobody's going to get it.
Yeah.
So it's impossible. Yeah. So you're not just relying on one person's.
Yeah.
You're relying on a group of very well experienced people to do the job. Yeah.
Yeah.
So right. So there's the first 5. Yeah. So that's what's getting judged. So blah blah blah. It goes through all the stuff. Man goes on the mic. Number 1, number 3, number 7, number 10, number 11. They all come forward. That's the only thing that's judged. Right.
Okay.
That's going to be disheartening for the people at the back. Now and again, if somebody gets spotted at the back that truly belongs in there, somebody will shout it down. Their judge will have a look, think, yeah, actually, they belong to be in there. So rarely, when you'll see, I mean, it is rare, you'll see somebody get added to a lab. It's because they've just been, for whatever reason, not missed. So there's nobody getting missed, because even then they get spotted at the back, pulled forward. So if you're good enough, you're going to be amongst the mix, right? Then from that point, it's as easy as this. You just score 1 to 5.
Okay.
So I'll just be like, she's the best, number 1. She's first. She's the second best, second, third, fourth, fifth. Slip goes in. Yeah. They all get added up. So say there's number 3's the best, so I put her in first. There's 7 judges. Say everybody's put her in first. Somebody's put her in second, and somebody's put her in third. Right. So you'll remove the highest and the lowest score. Yeah. To make it fair. So in case somebody's like trying to rig it or whatever people say. Yeah. So you'll remove a 1 from that. You'll remove a 3 from that. So she'll be left with 5 scores, which will be 4 1s and a 2. So her score would be 6. So most likely she's going to be the lowest. So then the lowest number wins. Yeah. So obviously, if she had straight first, a perfect score would be a 5. Yeah. After the numbers have been removed. So it's just basically the lowest number wins. Yeah. So obviously, you've got the highest place into number 1. Yeah.
So I think that's really interesting to ask that question, because I don't think that many people actually know like how a show is actually judged and what the criteria is, because some people assume that each pose is judged. So you hit the front double bicep and then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I imagine that trying to count and tally that up when you've got a massive show would be a disaster anyway. So it is the overall balance of the physique that wins.
The only time that gets done is if you've got 2 fuckers up there and you're like, you cannot decide where you want to place them. Yeah. You just can't pick, because you do get athletes that are just so close, you just can't make a choice. So at that point, you would then go from pose to pose. Okay. Front double bicep, number 3. Front lat spread, number 1. Okay. Side chest, number 1. Side tricep, number 1. And then the best one with the most ticks next one. But that's a personal thing that somebody would do. Sure. When they sat down to judge him. And then if there's any ties, so if like say the second place is tied because somebody's got 3 firsts and 2 seconds, and the other person's got 2 seconds and 3, or whatever the maths would be to work out a tie-in score, then the person with the most high scores wins.
Okay. That's really interesting. I think that's very well explained. I think that'll answer a question for a lot of people that are unsure about that. To be fair, no, that's really good to know. So in regards to show promotions, are you still running shows as well for the PCA, or are you just doing the judging now?
I think I maybe will do. Obviously, 2019 got called off, and not 2019, 2020 got called off. And then obviously this 21, my show would have been next week. Actually, normally my show would have been next week. If it was this time of the year, I might look at putting it on again next year. I don't miss the aggro, to be honest.
Okay.
It was more, when I put that on, it was more of a local thing for local people. And everybody piled in. You'll probably remember back in 2015.
I remember the first one.
The rafters. And then it just got a little bit less and a little bit less every year, and it became more of a national thing. People were traveling down, and I didn't feel like I was doing loads for the local people at that point anymore. As usual with anything, you don't get much gratitude for it anyway, to be honest, even though it was for them. So for what stress it's worth, and there's not loads of money in it, because I always try to get a big venue and this and that, and for the little bit of money that I made, there's much easier ways of making that money without that kind of stress. So
absolutely,
we'll see what I might put on next year. I did have a couple of sponsors and stuff approach me to cover some of the costs and get a better venue and things like that. So we'll have a look next year. I think I'll decide at Christmas.
And are you personally still a big bodybuilding fan? Do you follow the sport a lot?
Yeah, I follow the pros and stuff. I like it.
Good. And what do you kind of think of like the UK scene in regards to it's changed quite a lot? Cause like you remember, you said that initially it was literally UK BFF and NABA, and now you've got new federations up and all the year. Like, what's your opinion on the way that bodybuilding has progressed, or even if you think it's digressed within the UK?
It's just blown up, hasn't it? It's good.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it's all different. I mean, obviously, back even just 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it was all UK BFF and NABA.
Yeah.
Now it's all PCA and Two Bros.
Yeah.
NABA's kind of a little bit on the back burner. Their numbers have kind of dropped right off to virtually nothing. I know the big shows are more popular. The Universe is still popular and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all PCA and Two Bros now, really, which is cool. There's always going to be two big feds.
Yeah.
Depending on what you want to do is where you go. Obviously, I do believe that PCA shows are a lot better. And a lot better run and everything like that. And then if you want to go and get an IFBB Pro card, which a lot of people do now, because they're fairly easy to come by compared. Not fairly easy to come by, because you still have to be decent.
Yeah.
But
more opportunity.
Obviously when we was younger, there was only one person per year got given a Pro card. In the whole country, and you had to be like really, really fucking good at that point to get it. But yeah, more love to them, man. Let them go do what they want to do. If that's what they want, that's cool.
Yeah, and I think it's good as well, because I remember, when I used to compete with the UK BFF, I'd do a qualifier. I'd normally get a qualifier to the British finals, and it's like, I had to wait to do that, and then I weren't allowed to do any other shows. Whereas now for me, I can jump on the show, do a PCA show. Weekend after, I can go and do, obviously, you've got the FitX Federation now, you've got NABA, Two Bros, you've got the IBFA, NAC. Like you can literally compete all of the time if you wanted to, which I think it's good for the business of bodybuilding, because it's putting more bums on seats as well, and more opportunity to stand on stage.
I think when I counted them up in 2019, I'm sure there was something like 101 shows on the calendar across the year.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, 101.
And it doesn't seem that they're not massively diluted down, because normally like the biggest spread, you get quite a diluted audience and a diluted show, but they still seem to be fairly packed, a lot of them. Like every time I've done a PCA show, it's always stacked.
Yeah, I mean, PCA shows are always busy, like.
Yeah.
But I think some appear more busy than they are maybe on the internet stuff.
Yeah. Let's just record this part of the crowd.
Yeah. I've been at shows that are completely empty, and I've seen it on the internet later and thought, well, it didn't look like that to me today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it has been diluted when you think to the facts. Like I was saying about the NABA shows with the women, there used to be 25 odd in the categories, and now you might go to a NABA show and there might be 4, like in a category and stuff like that. Sorry if you can hear my dogs there.
No, that's all right. That's all right. Do you think there's any particular reason? Do you think people just get stuck on, you know, on their laws going, we've got the universe, you know, we've got that prestigious title that people want, and then they kind of don't continue to build and promote and grow the shows? Do you think people just kind of get a little bit complacent and that's why they don't grow?
Yeah, Nabba's, I don't know. I mean, I've got a lot of love for him, man, and I competed with him a lot of years, and I like the people that run it, and I do speak to them. But they're just a little bit stuck in the ways. 2019, they tried making a bit of a shift and moving a couple of things, and they just need some young movers and shakers in there to sort it out.
Yeah.
But until that happens, they'll just kind of stay left sat in the background, which is a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So in regards to your future plans competing, what's next for you?
I'm looking at doing the PCA Universe in November. I think that's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
Just come into like a pullback phase now where we're going to chill out. Well, not on purpose, because I was in hospital the other day with kidney stones, but that one intended. But we're just going to kick back for 6 weeks or so, pull the training back, pull the foot back. Obviously, the drugs are gone. And then we'll put them back in a couple of months and maybe look at dieting down for that, I think.
Okay. So when you say drugs are gone, do you blast and cruise or do you totally come off?
No, just down to like 200 tests a week, which is like TRT for somebody my size.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. And are you still getting prepped by Anth Bales? Does he do your?
Yeah, that's right. I was about to mention that. Yeah, Anth Bales is doing my prep. He prepped me in 2019, and it was as smooth. And usually, like, so since I moved from Ken at Food Tech, like years ago, I've always kind of, since my second or third show, kind of done my own prep and ran it by him, and then when he kind of retired from it, I did the same with Anth and did my own prep. And do you think this is all right, mate? Do you think that's? And it always just ended up to shit, because like I just needed, in 2019, I just needed somebody to completely take over.
Yeah.
And just do that, and then I could just focus on doing my own job with my own clients.
Yeah.
Check in every weekend, and yeah, it was the best thing I've ever done. So I got back with him in the off. Well, I got back with him in January for this off season to build up for November.
Yeah.
So we've got a good run at it, and yeah, I mean, the way things is looking, it looks like I'm going to be about 15 pound heavier than I was in 2019. So that's down to having to sleep with one of them fucking mask things on. It's
at least you haven't got like the indentations in your face, unless the facial hair's hiding it.
I don't know if that really does that or not. I don't know if that's.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know. It's just a mask, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm not. Is it quite uncomfortable to sleep on, or?
Yeah, it's not much fun, mate. You have to sleep on your back.
Yeah.
You can't get off your back, really. You can learn your side, but you'll just knock it off.
Yeah.
And then so I just sleep on my back, and it's not great, but needs much for now until I can get off it.
Absolutely. And what are your expectations going into the show? Do you set yourself goals? Because a lot of people say I go into this prep with the mindset that I'm going to win. Is that your mindset, or do you just want to improve from the last time you competed?
Yeah, just be better than last time. You can't control stuff like that, man.
Yeah.
When I did that last show, I competed against Ronnie Rockall, who was an ex-Olympian, as you know.
Yeah.
A little South African dude who was just fucking awesome, who actually won it.
Yeah.
Josh Maley, who was like 500 pounds. They were the three people that placed in front of me.
Yeah.
So I came fourth in that pro show.
Yeah.
I can't control people like that. Do you want all I can control is myself. So I never focus on anybody else, because there's no point. Just bang your head out.
And the one other topic I wanted to kind of touch on is social media. So you obviously have your social media account, but you don't massively use it for marketing your knowledge, do you? It is very much utilized as, these are my clients. A lot of people tag you in stuff, because I see you reposting client progress pics all the time. What are your thoughts on social media, and are you quite against it, or do you feel like you want to move with it and maybe do more promotion and marketing on social media?
Yeah, I cringe at it a bit when people are doing it. I just think I'll just put my results out, and if people see that my results are good, then they'll come to me for help. But I don't want to be pressing my opinions onto everybody and saying you should be doing this and you should be doing that. And fucking my worst one is when people are like, if you're doing this, you're an idiot. If your coach is doing this, put them in the bin and all that kind of shit. I just get on my own business and let the results kind of do what they need to do. It's not really within my personality to start talking to my camera and fucking saying this and that. And I just see it as advertising, which it is.
It is, yeah.
But I just find it, I don't know, I just cringe at it a bit, and I just think I'd rather just, bam, there's my client, she looks good. We did that.
Yeah.
There's another client. She looks good. We did that.
Yeah.
And it's seemed me all right so far. And actually, funnily enough, sometimes when clients come to me, they'll actually say that's one of the things that they like about me. So
yeah, perfect. And everyone has their own different styles and opinions. Just because everyone isn't so, face to face on social media and posting educational tips every day and things like that, that doesn't mean that that's the right thing to do. And it's like the worst thing you can do is try and be something you're not. So like you said, you're not the type of person to whip your phone out and go, "Hi guys, I want to talk to you about, your daily macros," or, let me show you how you can get lean and not do cardio. Oh, you do 30,000 steps a day. Steps is cardio. So
that's the perfect. Yeah, you're exactly right. That's perfectly. If you're not being yourself, people are going to notice it anyways. So I'll just keep on being myself, and you might see me talking to the camera one day if I feel like it, but I'm not too sure.
Would you say you're quite an introverted character, or are you quite extroverted? Or
no, not really. I don't know what I am. People tell me I'm too loud a lot, so maybe
that's just the Ullian in you. and just to clarify, anyone down south is obviously my friend that's listening to this that thinks I've got a really strong Ull accent. Like, listen to Dan. Like that mate, it has. So I can't win, right? So I go back up north. And I have people like you and a few other mates going, "Mate, you sound so posh." But then honestly, people down here, mate, think that I've got a really strong northern accent. And I'm like, no, I don't. Like, it's gone. And I can tell it's gone. But yeah, I can't win either way. I go up north, I get called posh. Down south, I get called, I'm too northern. So I can't win either way. So I'm just quite happy.
Go Birmingham, you'll be all right.
I don't know. I don't think my Brummie accent's very good.
No, but it's in the middle, isn't it?
Yeah, good night, mate. That's not too bad. So last question then before we go off. So what are your kind of future plans for obviously the business? So are you kind of continuing to run it as you do? Do you have any like future aspirations, having your own gym, having your own facility, or are you kind of just playing it, week by week, month by month at the moment?
No, I'll just do this till the wheels fall off. I think I don't want to have a gym. It's oversaturated and it's a lot of stress. And I've got a kid at home and that, and I like the best thing I've done since quitting personal training and moving on to online is I get to spend loads of time with my kid.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm lucky, man, because fathers don't. They don't get to see them.
Yeah.
And when I was PTing all day, I didn't get to see that much. So
yeah,
I'm just I hate to use the word blessed, but I'm lucky to be in the situation that I'm in.
Absolutely.
And my missus is at home and stuff like that, looking after the kid as well. So get to spend time with them. So I'm just going to do this. I probably plan on moving into some kind of property, investing and things like that going forward from this year, because I'm aware that I've got a shelf life. These fucking 20-year-old kids already call me old school, and I'm only 35. I don't know what they're going to call me when I'm 50, and I'm still trying to do it. So I'll probably. I'm aware I've got a shelf life. That's probably another 10 to 12 years before nobody wants to listen to me anymore. So I'll just make sure I'm invested in the right areas to make an income and get out before I'm shoved out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so keen what you said about it's almost like I use the word balance. I know a lot of people don't like the word balance, but I do think it's important when you've got family and bodybuilding and being in that world can be very selfish. Like I was general manager of Nuffield Health. I did that for 10 years managing gyms. I was on my phone constantly dealing with staff and member issues. It was always like an hour to 2 hours in the car every day, 8 hours in the office every day. And I kind of decided to, I'm gonna quit my very safe, comfortable, pretty decent paid job to go self-employed during a pandemic. People think I'm crazy, but like it's honestly the best thing I've ever done, because I've never ever been as happy in my whole entire life, because I get to drop the kids off at school and pick them up every day. I get to see wife more than I've ever done before, and it's nice, and I absolutely love what I do now. I think what you've said is the same kind of path that I'm going now, and you're looking at getting that balance between spending time, because you only get one shot at life, so you want to make sure that you're taking full advantage, and you're watching your kids grow up, being there present. So absolutely.
We was brought up out the back end of the generation that was taught to work harder. But now this generation is about working smarter because we're able to. So we're just taking advantage of that. So obviously our dads and mums and everything and what have you, then it was more like do more hours, have more money, work harder, and you get patted on the back for that. Whereas now that's not the smart way to go. You can you can move into situations like we have and still make a living.
Yeah.
But not have to be out the house and not have to be doing this. Not that there's anything wrong with doing that, because there's definitely not. And I respect people that do that. But if you've got the option to be able to be at home and around the family and stuff and still make a good living, then that's what I'm going to choose to do. Absolutely.
Good. Well, Dan, I really appreciate your time today, mate. That was a very insightful podcast. I really enjoyed having that conversation. It's kind of good to catch up as well, because it's been quite a while since we've had a conversation. So I wish you... Yeah, there we go. True story. I actually bought a skateboard last year to go out skateboarding with Finley.
Really?
Yeah, that's the whole
what's it? Was it corn hoodie or whatever?
Yeah. The corn midlife crisis. So yeah, I try not to go on it during prep, but I've said after prep, I'm going to the skate park. I can still see if I can drop in. So if you never see me on stage again, that's why. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. I wish you all the best, and then looking forward to catching up with you at future shows and stuff soon.
Yeah, I'll catch up with you soon, mate.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thanks, mate. Take it easy.
Cheers, pal.
Thanks, mate.